What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Redemption with Jaden. You may notice that it doesn't really look like I have a deck on the screen and that the title doesn't say Lackey Grand Prix game. We're going to be doing that next week because this week we've got some pretty exciting news that I wanted to get out with you guys, share as soon as it became available, I guess just within the last few days. And joining me to do this, I have this special guest over here, Brian Jones, who's joining me. We're going to be talking about the Kentucky State Tournament and maybe more importantly, no, I don't know, it depends on who you ask, the Mr. Classic event that is going to be hosted there. So, hey, Brian, how you doing?
Doing great. I'm happy to be on the channel for the first time.
Awesome. Yeah, I know it's your Redemption with Jaden debut, but I mean, if you played in the Lackey Grand Prix, you'd probably get on here, just saying, throwing that out there.
That's true. That's true.
And I will say people have probably seen you at least a few times if you watch some of the live streams of the tournaments. Not too often because Brian doesn't hang out at the top tables too much. But no, I'm just
I'm a bottom feeder.
kidding. But no, Brian is going to be hosting the Kentucky State Tournament here in just a few months. So I'm going to let him give you guys the details on that, and then also we're going to be talking about the Mr. Classic event that is going to be hosted there this year as a kind of piggybacking off of that, and how that's going to look a little bit different, and how that was actually impacted by Brian here, not only as helping with the hosting responsibilities for that, but also as the reigning Mr. Classic himself, who got to impact some of the format decisions, which is why you are seeing the cloud of witnesses set on the screen here. So that's a little teaser for when we get to that part. But Brian, you want to tell us about the Kentucky State Tournament, how it's going to look like, and timing, logistics, when it is, all that jazz?
For sure. Kentucky State will be April 4th and April 5th. We're looking to start as soon as we can on Friday. We are flexible on that time, though, to make sure everybody gets there driving or flying in. We already have a couple people flying in on airplanes, so I know that we're going to have a lot of states represented. Food is taken care of on Saturday. So Saturday breakfast and lunch, you don't have to pay anything. I'll take care of all that. There'll be drinks and snacks for sale if you want anything in between that.
And it's not just like ramen, right? It's something.
No, you will have some sweets like candy bars and soda to buy, but we might do some like pizza or breakfast burritos or things like that.
Nice.
So, Friday night, we plan on doing sealed and teams for the Kentucky State. And that will run concurrently with some of the Mr. Classic things we can talk about here now or in a little bit. What do you think?
Let's go through the rest of the Kentucky State events, then we'll kind of wrap back to how Mr. Classic's going to work.
So then, as sealed and teams finishes up Friday night, typically our Type 2 players like to stay up later because they are more dedicated.
That's true. Yeah.
And get that event in the hours, early morning hours.
You're playing this year, right? That's what I heard.
I don't know about that one.
I'll build you a deck.
Oh, that's tempting. That's tempting.
All right. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Saturday morning, we plan on trying to start early. Type 1-2 player. So we'll be in there deck checking. I will give you a time at Friday night to make sure you're there on time. Then right after Type 1-2 player, we're going to try to do booster draft. Depending on timing, I assume will depend on whether it's 2-player or multiplayer.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. If we get a good turnout and end up having to play some multiplayer booster, I'm going to be all up for that. So that'll be good. And it sounds like boosters by itself, then pretty much everybody's going to end up being able to play that. So
yeah. And so from my understanding, Jeremy will be bringing pre-rotation packs. I don't know which ones, but those will be in the mix as well.
Ooh, all right. Get a little classic sprinkling in there too. Yeah.
Yes.
Be good. Awesome. And then as far as lodging and that kind of stuff, is there places for people to stay?
Outside, you got to camp.
Outside.
No, I'm
Okay,
just kidding.
good. Yeah, that's fine. It'll be warmer than
Uh,
here, I'm sure. So
that's right. We have quite a bit of beds available. A lot of times there are bathrooms connected to where you're staying, so you don't have to walk very far. Sometimes it's even in your room with you, so that is helpful. So yeah, you don't even have to bring a sleeping bag or anything. We have the bedding taken care of there.
awesome. Yeah, so if you guys are planning and wanting to go to Kentucky State, you should probably connect with Brian. Make sure that all of that is in order, and you're traveling, and if you're flying in, get travel from the airport and all that kind of stuff. So Brian is your go-to guy for that, or Jonesy, as he's known on Discord. So that leads us to, I guess, one of the other highlights of the Kentucky State tournament is that I've heard it's confirmed that Mr. Fish from Your Turn Games is going to be in attendance. And of course, we love to give Andy a shout out here on the channel. So we're going to shout out Your Turn Games, who's a sponsor of the channel, who's going to be at the Kentucky State tournament. So if you have cards that you are planning to purchase, either for the tournament or just for your own collection, and you're going to be there, I'm sure Andy would be willing to work out some kind of pickup situation where you can pick them up from him in person if you, order ahead of time, and then he can have those ready for you. Maybe you're building your first Type 2 deck and you need a lot of singles and stuff to fill that out. You can have those and ordered and ready to go. The other thing to highlight that is going on right now at Your Turn Games is the Collector's Corner page, which Andy has added to his list of awesome pages over at Your Turn Games. And this one, he's got a 25% off discount going on for the first, I guess like week and a half that this has been available. So it'll be till the 28th of February. So get it before March comes. You can head on over to the Collector's Corner and grab some of these more collector variant cards, like the foil versions of the II promos from from II, not promos, the II ultra rares. Man, it's a lot to get through. I did it. All right. But he has plenty of other promos. He's got some alternate border cards from like Rocket or Revelation of John here, Michael the Archangel, and he also has some ultra rare pluses and the borderless versions of Shipwreck, and I guess no Second Coming on here right now, but you can check out what he has available. And this is because like he's not always going to have all of these promos available, so he probably has a fairly limited number, and so that's why he's posting them here, what he has available. And he's got pretty decent prices on these. I think the prices for them haven't really changed from what he had before, at least like from the Ultra Rare Plus versions and stuff. But he does have the discount going on right now just to kind of kick off the Collector's Corner page over at Your Turn Games. So if you're like me and you haven't completed your collection of the foil Ultra Rares yet, then I guess you can get on that now while the getting's good and get a little discount on those. So have you completed your foil set yet, Brian?
I have.
Nice. All right. Good.
For
Well,
somebody who's collected a lot of those things, take advantage of that because they're not always easy to come by. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially like the Michael, alternate border Michael. Like you might notice that the Red Dragon isn't on here. The Three Woes is on here because that was offered in other forms. I think it was like Persecuted Church or something like that, or not. What was it? What was the set that they Prophecies of Christ? Yeah. Where I think they had the alternate border like Woes and Shipwreck and Second Coming available in those as well. But like the Michael and Red Dragon from Revelation of John are definitely harder to come by. So yeah, lots of these are good deals and good to take advantage of at this time. So now let's get into the meat, what everyone came here to hear about, I guess, of the episode or video. We're going to be talking about the Mr. Classic event that's going to be going on Friday night at the Kentucky State Tournament. And if I understand correctly, the event will start first, and then kind of as people get eliminated, they'll be able to join in, or that might kind of determine some of the timing for sealed and teams, like when those start, just so as many people as possible can play in those. Is that correct? Or are there any other details you want to add to that?
That is exactly correct. Just trying to give everybody an opportunity to participate and play as much redemption as possible this weekend. So.
Awesome. So, yeah, I guess that kind of implies, I guess, that there will be people eliminated from the tournament. So it's or anybody can participate this time around, right? So it's not just the 8-person invitational. So even you behind the screen there, you could win the belt, which I should have had you have the belt with you to show it. Do you have it? I assume
I
you have it
do.
within arm's reach right here, right?
Uh,
It's just you're not.
it's right back here.
I half expected you to be wearing it and just like stand up and be like, "Of course I have it here, Jaden." Like,
I should have.
So even you right there, you could be the proud owner of that belt at least for a year. You could come back and defend your title. I know Brian's going to be there defending his title this year, and so yeah, let's try to get that away from him. We can work together and try to make sure that Brian goes down. But it's going to be a single elimination tournament that anybody can enter and participate in, and then once I believe it's a single elimination, right?
Yes.
So once you lose one game, you will be out for the remainder of the tournament. But then you can go ahead and play sealed in teams. You can hop into those if you are out in maybe the first round or two, and then the people who are still going for it can keep on playing their games. Try to get that belt. And so, Brian, do you want to tell us a little bit about what the format is compared to last year? What's new with this year's
Yeah.
format?
Last year we added roots to the scrolls cards, and so this year I was able to pick a set to add to that mix, and I chose Cloud of Witnesses. So we will be able to play with roots, scrolls, and cloud.
Awesome. Yeah, that's so that's why Cloud of Witnesses is up here. It's an interesting choice as far as the sets to add. It's one of the smaller sets. So if we added something like GOC or LOC, those were bigger sets that they even had their own formats where you could you could play GOC only and LOC only. So adding those sets would have made it so that you could pretty much just play a deck of all uh, GOC or LOC cards, whereas Cloud of Witnesses, that I think is going to be a pretty good sprinkling. And do you want to? There are other reasons why you chose the Cloud of Witnesses set over something like Persecuted Church, which also would have been a lot of fun.
Cloud of Witnesses is by far my favorite set of all time. I just remember coming in when the Samuel and Joseph tins were coming out and being super excited. Then early church and Persecuted Church, I was less excited about, I should say. And then the set came out and just kind of rejuvenated the game in a lot of ways and got people super excited and had all these different lost souls. You could replace New Jerusalem, kind of helped a lot of different things and I just have fond memories of that set. And like you said, I didn't want me to pick a set and just kind of that take over the whole category. And Cloud is old enough where you're still kind of playing with old cards and there's still a lot of scroll cards involved there. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, Brian asked me which set I would have chosen. I was like, "Come on, man, LOC. It's gotta be be able to play my posties." And
for sure.
But he brought up the good point that then it's just LOC only basically at that point. You add in your Son of God, your Falling Away, and your other dominance, that kind of stuff. But and I guess New Jerusalem there because you wouldn't have Second Coming. But so yeah, so with the rest of the video here, the rest of the time that we have allotted for this, we're going to be talking about the Cloud of Witnesses set, what that adds to the format, and what we kind of expect to see, a little bit of what we saw last year, and how adding Cloud of Witnesses might impact that. And I guess maybe before I get into that, just in case there's anybody here who doesn't know what Mr. Classic is or was, the belt kind of gives you a little bit of information, but there have been two Mr. Classic events so far, and the idea was to kind of just create a single elimination tournament of like the best of the best, bringing people together for this fun event that was, started out as Classic Weekend, and then the kind of premier event was the Mr. Classic tournament where the belt was on the line. There were 8 players invited, kind of from among the top players, both currently in the game and in the past. And that's how it was run for the past 2 years. And then this year, I think it was kind of because of timing and just how things were working together or working out, I guess, that we just made it open to everybody. At least that's kind of my understanding of what Jeremy shared, what you shared with us.
Hmm.
And so I think that's pretty cool for everyone to kind of have the same opportunity or the same shot at it. So it will really depend on how much homework you do, maybe how much experience you have if you played in the Scrolls era format, but also the Cloud of Witnesses era format, because I mean, really the format will be pretty similar to how it was when Cloud of or after Cloud of Witnesses came out, because there wasn't really a whole lot of early church and persecuted church being played. And so yeah, I think it will be kind of like that revamped redemption scene that Brian was talking about
Hmm.
when the set came out. So I think that'll be cool. So Brian, you want to talk a little bit about your experience with like building and kind of going through different deck ideas last year as you were preparing for the tournament, which you ultimately came out on top of?
Yeah. So the first year we played, and you got me, you edged me first round, and I was pretty happy with how the throne played, and you played judges that year, and I just felt like depending on how that played out, maybe I make a couple different changes and
Hmm.
that next year. So when I was building last year, I was like, man, what can I do to make a couple changes? And I don't remember the exact changes, but I do remember making some that would combat judges because it felt like they were very popular that first year. And
Yeah.
um, but roots definitely helped. I added quite a bit of roots cards that um, helped me combat that. You had the Mask of Vanity through Nebuchadnezzar paired with the Dream and the Swift Horses already. You had um, the artifact that captures 2 people. You had Captured Arc that could shuffle things away or consistently and not just be 2 times. And so it helped me deal with the artifacts a little bit better. I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, that yeah, the roots definitely added some fun elements, I think, to it. I ended up adding some like white splash in there, got with my kind of sort of I guess it was still a throne deck, but like kind of little
Came to the light.
yeah, well, the roots didn't really add a whole lot for judges. I think that was kind of part
Sure.
of the thing, and I was trying to do some like kind of Philistine brown tech stuff for the defense, and then you knocked me out in the first round. I don't know how we ended up playing in the first round. I'm still a little salty about that, but
They put me
but
as an 8 seed. What is that?
I know. That's, I don't know. There last year, maybe maybe part of the reason it's just open to everybody this year was to avoid some of that mess of
Yeah.
making sure that everybody who was invited was able to show up and everything. Like, yeah, it's just. Uh,
Yeah.
but anyways, the link to Brian's, or I'm gonna put the link to Brian's, I guess deck tech that Babooni Tim did on his channel. I'm gonna put a link to that in the description if you guys want to check out the deck that Brian won with last year. And then as we kind of go and talk about Cloud of Witnesses, you can think about, or I guess we're gonna kind of talk about some of the cards that will spice up that list, and also some of the other themes that we expect to see, or that we maybe did see last year, and how they can be spiced up. So for sure, the my when Brian first told me, I guess that the Cloud of Witnesses was the set, or I guess it was when I saw that Jeremy, was it you or Jeremy that posted it on Discord? I can't remember.
Jeremy.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, it was Jeremy after you had posted about Kentucky State, yeah. So Jeremy posted about the format with Cloud of Witnesses, and then you and I were talking about it, and I was like, it's just gonna make the best two themes already
Well, I
better.
don't think he posted about Cloud. He just posted about the event being at Kentucky State. So this is the first time people are hearing about it.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. So it was
Yeah.
you that told me. Okay, so
Yep.
surprise, everybody! No. So this is what the format's gonna be. So, uh, yeah, when you told me that, I was like, oh, so we're just gonna make the two best themes even better,
Right.
because Throne is going to get David the Shepherd, which puts Throne of David right in play. Also going to get King Saul, and judges, they get Jephthah and Samson aren't, there's not really too much with them, but like Gideon, Faith of Gideon, and Joshua, maybe depending on your build, and then also the Cloud of Witnesses Moses
Yep.
also get in there. And do you want to talk about the other caveat about the format that is also going to impact both of those themes pretty heavily?
Of course. So for the first time, we are going to unban Samuel and Daniel. I know everybody's excited to play Daniel again,
Ooh,
but
yeah, Daniel.
um, but Samuel will definitely be seeing a lot of play since it's a very limited time you can play him just at this turn. But he's
Yeah,
also fits in a lot of different builds.
yeah, yep. He definitely was a star of the Throne of David uh, deck, or the Throne deck. He could tutor both David and King Saul for a draw, also ban to them. So, and he was an Angel Under the Oak target. And with judges, he fits in mostly because of Samuel's edict, but you can also run one version of the David in there. You could play King Saul on defense if you run Brown or something like that, and so you can still get some
Mhm.
value. But the fact that he works well with Samuel's edict is also going to make him a presence in those decks, or in judges decks as well. So that will be and not this Samuel. I guess I should probably pull up the card that we're talking about, because some people might not actually know if you're newer to the game. But if you haven't seen, there he is, this Samuel. If you haven't seen a lot of these Scrolls cards, I'm also going to put in the description a link to the video I did that was just Scrolls You Should Know, in which I will be going. You will see me go through every card with a scroll on it. This scroll where the Bible verse is. That's what we're talking about, because these are all the cards on the old card face. I go through all of them and talk about pretty much everyone that's worth knowing. That, like, if you went to to watch the live stream or something of the Mr. Classic, or um, events from previous years, and you'd probably be able to pick out most of the cards if you went through all of that. So yeah, that Samuel is definitely one to know there, and I'm not going to be going through all of the scroll cards in this video, because we've already done that. So you can go check out that video, and we're just going to be talking about some of the highlights from the cards that you probably are familiar with from Cloud of Witnesses here. So I think the Throne deck, we kind of talked about what gets added to that. The Judges deck. Are there any other decks that you're kind of thinking that Cloud of Witnesses might kind of juice up a little bit, or bring to light a little more?
Those are definitely the two major ones. I would like to see some white, maybe a little bit
Mm,
of clay, but I doubt it. I'll see clay, but white I think has potential depending on how they play it.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, love righteousness and hate wickedness. I mean, I guess mostly love
Mhm.
righteousness, just as that consistency to get to your best heroes. We get a little bit of the musician stuff in classic. We get like the Kenaniah, and
Mhm.
Moses kind of opens things up a little bit. You get David. Um, but yeah, it's going to be missing some of like the stuff that you really would want from rotation, like music leader and
Yep.
whatnot. But I mean, Roots has some great white stuff, uh, philosophies in there, and some of the other dual alignment stuff. So yeah, white will be interesting to see if anyone goes that direction. I feel like it's kind of been a forever been a splash brigade, at least up
Mhm.
until before or after the point where Cloud of Witnesses came out. So yeah,
I
well,
would I would love to see somebody play a green hybrid of some sort, and
mm, yeah, that would be good. Yeah, although I suppose Garden Tomb that was kind of a white era, but yeah, other than
yeah,
that,
don't want
uh,
to do that this time.
yeah, probably not. uh, yeah, I think so. White, it's a good one to make note of. I think Genesis will. I mean, we saw. I think it was just with one Genesis deck last year. That I mean, I thought was pretty decent. He won in round one. I believe it was. I, yeah, it was Charles piloting Genesis. I believe he won in round one, and I think he got knocked out by was it Jeremy in round two. But
Sounds right.
I think there were, I mean, pretty good games from what I remember, and I feel like Genesis definitely has some potential and gets. I mean, can't really use the Flood Survivor stuff super effectively because there's no Noah's Ark in this format. But Abraham might be getting in there and shining a little bit, and you've got some great stuff from Roots too. So I expect Genesis to be in the conversation at least as far as what decks will be the most viable. Uh, oh, I guess I didn't even bring up Faith of David, but that probably goes in Throne decks too.
And Melchizedek.
You think so, Melchizedek? Yeah, I suppose. See, that was dude. I don't. I guess I don't remember. Was he in kind of the Cloud era Throne decks at that point?
Some of them, not many, but now with stocks and things like that, you may want to add them in.
Sure. Yeah.
Stocks was everywhere because it was sniping the heroes and set aside with Pentecost and
Sure.
mustering for war, and
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. I will say I kind of take pride in the fact that I was never really a Throne player. We'll see if I mean, I kind of caved, for last year's event, but I don't know. I don't know if I can do it 2 years in a row. So we'll see. It didn't work
I
out for
thought
me last year. So,
I thought when I took a break from Redemption, you were playing Throne with Hidden Treasures and stuff. No,
well, that was kind of the hidden throne is what we were
okay,
calling it, where it wasn't really throne because it was um I think well I used the new throne in a deck and then yeah I had some hidden treasures stuff
okay,
in there and yeah it was uh I guess hidden throne was like the team's version that Justin and I played initially and then I kind of played it a little bit in type 1 but
gotcha.
yeah at least not in this era I will say
Yep,
it's pretty much still stuck on judges at that point.
yeah, that's why we
So,
never saw him in Top Cut. Kidding.
hey, no. That's I mean that's you're not wrong. But at that point, I will say I was mostly just playing Type 2 as well because those were still
That's
being
true.
run concurrently, nationals. But so yeah, I think Cloud will definitely add some good Genesis stuff. We'll add some Throne stuff, some Judges stuff. We might see a little bit more with prophets. You get Faith of Samuel, since Forgotten is decent, although you don't have Jeremiah in there. Um, yeah, that's kind of mostly what I would say we expect to see from the offenses, at least from what Cloud of Witnesses adds. Um, you don't really have much in the way of adding anything for angels in this set. Angel of the Winds is the only option you got there. That's not really going to be in a mono silver deck. So sorry, Hendrix. I know you enjoyed playing that deck last year. so
But it is
much.
a huge consistency piece for
Yeah.
every day.
Oh yeah, Angel of the
That
Winds. Yeah, definitely will add a lot to the format. And I think we were kind of talking, maybe slightly joking about it before we started recording here. But you were talking about clay and how with roots, that's actually not the worst idea. I mean, it's not great. Like it probably should be splashed with something, but I mean, the fact that you've got a bunch of enhancements and Cloud of Witnesses here that you could play in a clay offense in addition to what roots adds. Yeah, it's not the craziest thing in the world. I could see someone just going there to have fun and
yep,
playing a clay deck, and you get to use Eternal Inheritance and some other
that'll be
stuff there.
fun.
So, what's that?
That'll be fun.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Don't if you're not really the competitive type necessarily, and you just want to mess around with this format a little bit, you can. I'm sure there will be people who would be fine with playing pickup games and stuff after the tournament too. So don't feel like, oh, I'm not gonna build a deck just to play one game and lose. I think having some part of why we're doing this, I guess, is that to kind of build a little momentum for the format and just to get people kind of thinking about it. And I think that the more you kind of think about it or get a little more excited about it, I think it will definitely lead to just having a better time overall, and should be a pretty fun event. And I'm definitely looking forward to it. I still have to submit the PTO for Friday to make sure I've got time to travel there, but we'll see
All right.
how that works out. But um, the other, I think, before we talk about the defenses, because I think that'll be you know uh, a little less interesting, I guess, to talk about. There's definitely some spicy cards to be able to add into some of the defenses here, but let's talk about kind of the utility cards. Like we have some great Lost Souls that you mentioned that got added in, and I think Dull, Forsaken, and Lawless will be in like every deck.
Every
Like,
deck.
yeah, I mean, it's the level of power between those and most of the other scrolls, Lost Souls. Like, it's uh, yeah, I think those will pretty much just be in everything. Which Dull will and Forsaken, I think, will definitely make for some more. You'll have to think a little more about what your offense is going to do and how it will be able to respond to these kind of more defensive Lost Souls. Maybe
Yep.
people will play a little more Cloud Moses to make sure that they can turn those Lost Souls off when needed. You think Open Hand is going to be played much?
Uh, they may throw it in there. Yeah, I think there might be some other options though. Like Wanderer would be a great option still to
Mm, yeah,
take those three staples, or
yeah,
Dole and Forsaken. Lawless will matter, but
yeah,
so,
yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, yeah. And I like Open Hand, but yeah, it's not quite there as far as like top seven in the format for the most part.
yeah,
Maybe it depends on the deck a little bit, but then of course the slaves and destruction here are probably gonna see as much play as they have since they came out, which is
yeah.
pretty much none. uh, I
I asked
think.
Jeremy if he wanted to unban the liner for this event. He
Oh,
wasn't in for
oh, really? Oh, okay. Well,
it.
that's probably for the best. Yeah,
It's a good thing.
yeah. Um, yeah, I think as far as the other utility cards, like I think the ones that are kind of most notable to me are like Colosseum and You Will Remain, probably, or maybe the main two. Are there any others that kind of stick
I
out to you?
remember I remember Jericho being a popular one just because everybody was playing Moses decks,
Mm,
and so that would make things CBP for you. Um, so
yeah,
if
that's
you
a good
think
point.
Moses will be everywhere, it might be a good ad.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, even if if people are playing Throne with David the Shepherd, they're gonna have a Cloud Hero, and so I
Yep.
mean, I think with with the set being added, I think most decks will have a cloud hero. So if you're worried about kind of the fight by the numbers stuff, Jericho will definitely be a good add. I guess that's maybe one of the other things to talk about is like the fight by the numbers offense. Like they don't really get much from the set. Like maybe David to kind of help start turning things out.
Yeah.
Joab protect from, well, I guess you don't really have to protect from scattered, but uh, some of
It,
the
I think You Will Remain will be huge for that deck because people waste their CBP battle winner to get rid of that band or that guy, and you kind of finally get your block. Then they come in with another band with another
sure,
guy that's also battled by the numbers, which
yeah,
I think will be annoying.
and they negate the card that the CBP enhancement that removed your other guy, and then they come back and
Ah, man. Yeah.
yeah, it'll be kind of like the brass serpent that I think Martin added to the deck. That like you don't really need it, but when it comes in handy, it really comes in. But I think this will be a
Yep.
little more utility there. So yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if that deck. I'm sure it'll be in the conversation as far as top decks there.
Yeah. When
Um,
Josh ran it last year, I realized how much more consistent it got.
yeah,
So,
yeah, I could see that. So and then the other kind of maybe one of the most obvious cards in the set here that probably is a mistake not to or to have waited to talk about it for this long, but the Second Coming is going to be in the format. It's in Cloud of Witnesses, and so you will be able to use it in place of New Jerusalem. And by able to, I mean like you're probably going to. Can't really think of any reason
unless
not to.
you want to just tech and play Nazareth and Hezekiah's Signet Ring and or
That
Reverence and All and just kind of punish them for playing it.
that's true. Yep, there are. Yeah, you do have to watch out for reverence and awe wherever I put that. There it is. Yep, the banish your opponent's discard pile. Maybe they play an early Son of God to take your doll off the table, and you can punish with that. Um, yeah. There's. I
I'd still
mean,
play
yeah,
it.
yeah. Signet ring only affects your opponents. That's the thing. But if
Yep.
you, I guess Nazareth would maybe be kind of the one thing that the one reason I could see maybe, but probably not. Um, just be careful about your signet ring or your reverence and awe. Like if you play Son of God early, just know that it could be coming. So maybe
And
the more
Reverence and All searches for Nazareth.
oh, that's true. Yeah, it's another Nazareth tutor for the format. Do we? Yeah, I suppose there really weren't that many uh, in just the Scroots format.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe an actual Nazareth deck could be in there. I mean, if you're playing fight by the numbers, you probably run it like fight by the numbers
Yep.
banding. But I don't know. So maybe the more interesting dominant to talk about here is going to be falling away. Do you think people are going to go for it?
They shouldn't.
That's fair.
There's
Yeah.
your advice.
Yeah, so in this you are going to have the option between the women's falling away and the cloud of witnesses falling away, which some people when cloud came out and in the kind of few years following before rotation, some people did kind of experiment and try out the cloud of witnesses falling away, particularly for its utility as a kind of cheese rescue with choose the blocker abilities and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I think you'd probably agree and say that it was never really uh, better in just about every deck. Maybe there's some decks where it could be argued that it was better, but I
I
don't
think it's
know.
actually better now than it was because the choose the blocker has changed. And it
Mm,
was a lot easier to do cheese rescues without it. So,
sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, or cards like provisions and um,
King
Obedience of
Amaziah.
Noah, yeah, King of Uzziah. Yeah, you could choose from your territory if it didn't specify that it had to be in your opponent's territory. So yeah, I suppose now it's a little better to set up. So that's a good point. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Well, if you are more of a rotation player, or like you didn't really have much exposure to old school, Scroots or Scrolls Redemption, then maybe you can just stick with your tried and true Cloud of Witnesses Falling Away. But
I'll end up losing to it that day, and I'll be on tilt the rest of the tournament.
I'll have to see if I can arrange to play you in the first round and use it against you or
3 years in a row.
something. That'd be good. So, as far as the rest of the utility cards and dual alignment stuff, we got Firefoxes, which I would kind of consider a utility card or just a
Yeah.
it can pretty much go into any deck and probably will go into most decks, I would imagine. And other than
Unless
that, I
you're playing
guess
Coliseum.
that's true. Yeah, yeah, you got to watch out for Coliseum. Oh, that is another ad, I guess, for the Fight by the Numbers deck. Although it doesn't hit maybe like the most important scroll cards like Haman's Plot and Gib Trick.
Yeah.
So you have to watch out for those still. But anyway, let's talk about the defense. Are there any cards in particular from the evil side that you were thinking might add a lot? Or you're building an Antediluvians deck, I assume, right?
I was thinking about it. It surprised everybody. Shock the world. The two cards that stuck out to me, I don't know how good they'll be this time, but mainly because I remember playing them in 16 was Lions, being able to
Mm,
discard evil characters,
yep,
or your paralyzed hero from the Serpent. It was a popular play, but that won't be a thing now.
sure, yeah.
I played Everyman Sword in my Nationals deck that year on the Reb Sheka, so I could,
Oh
because
yeah,
I played Pale Green, and I
yep,
was able to deal with Moses consistently, which was nice.
yeah.
Um, it also hit You Will Remain back then too, but
Yep, no longer. It's yeah, so I suppose I mean with all of these heroes being added with Cloud of Witnesses or with the set, like there's going to be a decent number of multi-brigade good cards going around. So Everyman's Sword, yeah, could definitely see some good play and can splash into just about any defense, and you don't have to worry about Matthew. So
yep,
there's a bonus for that there. The other card that I was thinking of is probably Confusion. Um, you do have the
yeah,
Roots version around. That's also pretty decent, but I think that this one's a little more flexible in the sense. I mean, at least the extra brigade with being able
that's
to use it
helpful.
with Brown defenses. Brown is going to be a little bit stronger in general than Pale Green. Um, yeah, the other cards that I think could see some play are King Akish with some Philistine
Hmm.
defenses. I like his ability, and also people are going to be playing David now with Throne. I mean, yeah, he
Maybe.
maybe, probably. Um, and I always liked running Provoked as well, like
Yep.
CBP. It's not we're not going to have Job's wife. I guess she was a Revelation of John, or at least the version that we have is gray instead of brown. So that's it won't be quite as effective there. But yeah, I don't know. I always liked the CBP option with that.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I think that's kind of it for defense. Medium and Endor could see some play.
Who's the rescuer? Yeah.
That one's actually, I mean, with a decent King Saul in the format, like I think that um, yeah, that could be pretty good. Magic Charms being in the format, that'll be
Sure.
a good out for or a good magician to use there. You think Nimrod will make it into some Babylonian defenses?
I doubt it.
Yeah, yeah, probably not. But I mean, he does. He puts Throne of David in play, so just
That's
saying.
true. Yeah.
um, All right, the last archetype I want to. I mean, we don't get much added to it from Cloud of Witnesses, but do you think site decks or a site deck would work?
Oh man, I go for the arrest and Gethsemane strategy. Did they ever change that combo?
I don't think so.
I so could try that again.
That's yeah, could be, but they did change how Watchful Servant works, so
Oh,
you have to find another
fair.
win con.
Man,
But yeah, I don't know, silver sites. The people might not be playing silver much in a format like
yeah.
this, so it's something to consider. I might have to splash a Joshua in your throne deck or something.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I think that Cloud of Witnesses was a great choice for the set to add, and I'm curious though because it means that next year we're gonna have to figure out something else that's even cooler, and it's gonna be hard to beat unless we do
Yeah,
LOC, in which case we get posties in there. But I do like seeing how we've been kind of adapting the format throughout the years here, and it does kind of add or I guess force a little more creativity in deck building and kind of exploring things. I don't think even the Scroots format by itself. We were talking about that a little bit beforehand, and you were even kind of saying like the it seemed like the format wasn't fully explored. There were other things that you could do, especially with the roots cards and how you could use them with the older cards. Are there any kind of off the wall ideas or things you want to throw out there that are like I don't know, but maybe that you want to
I'd,
give people some ideas to run with?
I'd love to see somebody play. Is it the Faithful Servant? Is that the special promo old
Oh yeah,
card
yeah, yeah,
with the three different brigades and have some of the new root stuff that like philosophy and the white territory class enhancement that can reserve an evil card. You have a purple card that can take a card out of their hand or something. Like
yeah.
there's just a lot of flexibility there, and um, forget what his ability is. I think
That
it protects souls,
that
maybe.
might have been one of the splash or like the white splash cards that I had in my
Yeah,
deck. I can't remember, but yeah. So faithful servant, yeah, protects all lost souls from being discarded, shuffle, or placed beneath draw pile this turn. So it cannot be negated. Just a 4/4, so decent initiative with great brigades, especially with all the Cloud of Witnesses stuff being added there. So
yep.
yeah,
So
that'd
that'd
be
be
a
fun.
yeah cool idea. Tutor it out with Angel of the Winds.
Hmm.
I wonder if
Or
I
the card that searches for a white hero.
uh oh true yeah love righteousness and yeah
Yeah.
you can get it back everything yeah it seems good. Yeah, let's see what
Mhm.
I think this might
There
be
are
my
decks.
my deck here.
Yes.
There we go. Yeah,
There we
yeah,
go.
faithful servant. Yep,
You
Kenanaya
had
and
it in
Lydia.
there. Okay.
Yep, there's a
Nice.
philosophy. So yeah, this will be interesting. I'm excited to see how it all shakes out. And
But there are decks I haven't seen last couple of years. I haven't seen like a legit disciple deck.
mm,
I haven't seen a
yeah,
lot of Pharisees, which blows my mind because that was in a lot of top decks back then.
yeah,
They're so quick and they chumped you, and
right. Yeah, you get the Vittles, you get the Sabbath Breaker, and then the both the Pharisees or the
yeah,
trappers and proud Pharisees, pretension, all that.
you
So
you add mask and philosophy to that. That's huge.
yeah. Oh, actually, now that I look at it or looking at the defense, that this isn't the version that I ended up playing. I had like I had like three different
You had
versions in
black in
here.
there.
Yeah. Let's see. I
You tempt.
think it was this one. Maybe. Nope. This
Hopefully.
is the orange version. Or well,
Abner's a huge
brown and
from roots
orange.
too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Abner. I think we'll see some good play. This only has 48 cards, but this looks pretty close to what I ended up with.
Yep.
So I had the black, and then with or the brown splash with Abner, Gomer, and Uzza. So yeah, it only says it has 48 cards though. Looks like I'm missing some Lost Souls. Not sure what happened there, but
Mm-hmm.
and no Faithful Servant. So maybe I didn't run it after all.
Oh man.
And I did run the Mary's Prophetic Act to try to hit the Falling Away. But yeah. Anyway, I think that's probably where we can wrap things up for this video. Let us know in the comments if you've got some cool Scroots plus cloud ideas. Cloud Scroots, is that maybe that's what we
We
call
got
it?
to come up with a fun name for this.
Cloud of Scrootnesses. I don't know. You can also let us know your name ideas in the comments for what you think this format should be called, and maybe it's just cow scroots. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna stop. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep going. So, Brian, any
All
last
right.
words of advice for anyone who's maybe on the fence about playing, or they don't know what to play, or maybe on the fence about just coming to Kentucky State at all?
Well, Kentucky State has been the biggest tournament the last 2 years outside of nationals. So, and if you want to try your hand at some of these old cards and you don't like it, you lose first round, you can still plug into the rest of the tournament. So come
Yeah,
enjoy good fellowship and it'll be a great time.
awesome. Yeah, I'm excited. I think it'll be really fun, and I'm hoping to bring out at least a few of us here from Minnesota. We've got a tournament this coming Saturday, so for my Minnesota people, if you don't know, come to the tournament on Saturday, and I'll try to bring that up to see how many people might be able to make it work. And I don't know if we'll carpool or if I'll end up trying to find a flight down there or something like that. But anyways, I am certainly looking forward to it. Should be a good weekend. And with that, I think that's going to be it for now. We'll catch y'all next
All
time.
right.
Thanks, Brian.